Welcome back to another episode of the Pro Series podcast. This is episode 65 with Sara McDaniel. Sara is known on Instagram as Simply Southern Cottage, where she has renovated her 1926 Louisiana cottage, or you might know her from HGTV Hometown Kickstart. We talk about both the show, the Instagram account, her side business, and a project she's going on right now that sounds so cool and I can't wait to see it. But before we get into this episode, please make sure you like, subscribe, and review this podcast on wherever you listen to podcasts. And now I hope you enjoy episode 65 with Sara McDaniel. Hello, Sara. Thank you so much for joining me on the Pro Series podcast today.
Hey, Eric, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited. I always like to start out on how I found my guest. And I found you off of I think it was an HGTV hashtag or something. And then your
Nice.
profile was just so beautiful and the way it was laid out. And I've always loved Southern design. And that was the cool part about your page. And I know we talked a little bit off camera of what you do, but I feel like a lot of people that follow you that might not know everything about what you do and outside of social media. So I kind of want to start where you started out with real estate or content creation, or where was the origin of this? Were you always a design junkie?
No, it's a long story, Eric, but I'll make it super short. So the Cliff Notes version is that in the fourth grade, our teacher took us on a field trip to Jefferson, Texas. And if you don't know Jefferson, it's this super cute little historic town in East Texas. And we toured all of these old homes, and something happened, and like the seed was planted in my heart in fourth grade for old houses. And so fast forward all these years, I actually went to college to be a teacher, and I spent 10 years in public education as a teacher, as an assistant principal, and then also as a technology director. And through a crazy chain of events, I ended up as an educational sales rep. And so in that season, I started dabbling a little bit in real estate investing and, saw the potential opportunity that it would allow for financial freedom, like especially later in life. And so around 2014, I found the house that I am living in currently and renovated it and started these social accounts and a blog, Simply Southern Cottage. And, I just did it because I thought I'm going to, the town will want to follow along. My mom and my sister will click like. Is not what happened. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It before long, like magazine accounts started sharing. I was getting a lot of regional and later national attention. And so the long and short of it is that I was able to leave my safe, comfortable W-2 job and become a full-time real estate investor and content creator. And here we are. That's the Cliff Notes version.
That's crazy. So when you say real estate investor, I feel like some people think about it in different ways, as they're buying and then they're renting out or they're flipping, or which way were you doing it?
Yeah, so I'm kind of all of the above. So I have long-term rentals, I have short-term rentals. I like to do flips, but what happens is that when I flip a house, I end up loving it and I can't get rid of it. So I haven't done like an official like buy, flip it, and sell it, but I've flipped a house, but I've ended up keeping it. And then in January, I'm actually opening a little 8-room boutique short-term rental property here in Minden.
Wow. Okay. So when you say that, I think of that Netflix show. What's it called? Sweet Magnolias. I think they did the same exact thing. They opened it was an old house in like a downtown of where they're living and made it into a boutique.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've actually been to Covington, Georgia and seen where it's filmed, but
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't seen it, but I need to watch it.
So this boutique, what's all going to be in it?
Yeah, so it is these apartments in essence that were built in 1931 here in Minden. And at the time, they were the most state-of-the-art multifamily housing in the state of Louisiana. That is a true story. I have a newspaper article that says that. And sometime in the 80s, they went into disrepair and they stayed vacant for over 40 years. I'm not sure why they stopped being utilized, but they're just these Spanish architecture buildings that sit right off our historic downtown, and nobody's been crazy enough to touch them until me. And so there's 8 little villas. There's 2 1-bedroom, 1-bath, and then 6 efficiencies. And you can come and stay in our historic downtown in a newly renovated property.
That's insane. So this might be a dumb question, but sometimes, like if you're going through a downtown, you see a building that looks like it's been vacant forever, but there's no for sale sign or anything. Was that kind of the situation here?
Yeah, it is actually. So in 2020, I actually looked at them, and there was like no way that I could afford to do them. A childhood friend of mine owned them, and he bought them with the intent of doing them one day and just never did. But there were another crazy set of events. Cottages and Bungalows and American Farmhouse Style magazines reached out summer of 21, and they were like, we want to do a project house with you, and we want to document the process over the course of the next year. And I was like, well, there's these villas that I want to do, and they're not really a house, but if y'all wanted to come alongside me, we could partner up and do this together. And we did. And so they have documented the process over the course of the last year, and the reveal issue comes out in January.
Okay, so the whole issue of that magazine will be just that.
Yes, pretty much. I don't know the exact percentage, but a large percentage of their, I think it's their February issue that will come out in January, is dedicated to the reveal of the villas.
Okay, is there video content to that as well?
No, not other than like what I've been pushing out on social media. There's not any video content.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It really is.
So after that project's complete, are you someone that's going to be like satisfied and just continue what you're doing, maintaining, or are you going to try to do something else?
Yeah, well, what my online community knows is that I always have things up my sleeve. And so I don't have another project right at this minute. I'm also renovating an 1852 ancestral family home, and that is actually for a gentleman. So I've never did a property for anybody else because I don't have time, because I'm always busy with mine. But a gentleman reached out and needed help, and how can I say no to that?
Yeah.
So I need to wrap up what I have now, but I've already got my mind on some potential things, coming up for maybe spring or summer next year.
That's awesome. So what advice would you have just for someone that wants to get into real estate investing? If it's let's take off flipping, just like flipping to rent out, or not just to flip to sell, but kind of investing in that sort.
So the best thing that you can do if you are just starting out is to educate yourself as much as possible, because it is not something for the faint of heart. It is equally like wonderful and stressful all at the same time, and you can very quickly like lose your shirt if you don't know what you're doing. And a lot of times, like, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. So my go-to resource that I tell everybody who asks me this question is a website called Bigger Pockets. Do you know Bigger Pockets?
No, I do not.
Oh my goodness. It's like, to me, it's the best like real estate education hub on the internet. I mean, it is, I don't know how many people are like participating, but there's chat rooms. They produce like webinars, there's books, there's downloads, but that is where I get all of my education from.
Okay, so like a lot more successful or less hate-driven Facebook page.
Yes,
Something
right.
that's actually useful.
Yes, it is really, really good. And you can, post questions in the chat forums and people can answer, and you can read stories about success or stories that went wrong, or if you need to know how to handle a situation, like everything is there.
Well, I had no idea that was a thing.
Yes, biggerpockets.com.
So we talked a little off screen that you were part of an HGTV show called Hometown Kickstart. I would
Yes.
love to hear, you did a little bit more than just be the talent on the show. So can you tell us a little bit how that started out?
Yeah, sure thing. So it actually started, I guess, almost 2 or 3 years ago. So, we had the first rendition of Hometown in Laurel, Mississippi. And then there was a casting call, and they were going to, in essence, like flip another town. And so my neighbor Rachel and I applied us for the first season of Hometown Takeover, and we lost to Wetumpka, Alabama. It killed our souls. But we just kept pushing forward and making things happen in our town. We painted a couple of murals. And then lo and behold, there was a casting call that came out again. And so we applied again for the second time. And, we got chosen for Hometown Takeover, Hometown Kickstart, I'm sorry. And that show aired this past May. And so we had the incredible privilege of basically being like the location producers and also on camera talent.
That's awesome. So between the show and your social media, which one do you feel like you get the most exposure or more people actually like noticing you in public or just really any of that?
That's a good question. So it's mostly from social media, and it's strange and wonderful because like it's starting to happen more and more in random places. Like you expect it around like our area,
Yeah.
but one time it happened at DFW Airport. One time it happened in a rest stop in Alabama along I-20, and it's wonderful, of course, but I just feel like this normal plain girl. So it's also like strange that this is my life.
Yeah. I always feel like it's the number that you see on your account just doesn't like click in my head. I mean, like,
Right.
I see it's a big number, but like it just doesn't actually like when you walk into a place and someone notices you, that's like when that number feels real.
Yeah, for sure. And I love like meeting people. I mean, I love it. It just is weird to me because I'm just like, I'm just plain, like I'm just me. It's no big deal. And they're like, oh my gosh, it's so nice to meet you. I'm like, really, it's fine. It's just me. No big deal.
Absolutely. So if you would have if told yourself whenever you started this account, what advice would you have given yourself, or what's something that you would try to like? What was a mistake that you did, or something you'd learn from?
Oh gosh. I did not realize like how much work it is. I in essence have like two, not really three, but I've got two full-time jobs and a little side job where I still kind of, dabble in educational consulting, but it is a ton of work to produce the content, to work on contracts with brands, to interact with your audience, to build collages, to edit pictures, edit videos. And then I'm also like doing this major renovation of 8 villas, and I have Airbnbs, and I have long-term rentals. And so I had to learn quickly like how to put some systems in place, and then how to tap like people to help me manage all of this. And
Okay.
that is something I was not prepared for at all.
That's always something I wish that they showed on TV of people that are creators, that all the brand stuff and all the behind the scenes stuff that comes with just one post.
Yes, it is a lot.
Yeah, meetings, proposals. I feel like I've had a lot of, I mean, my podcast is all about design, and I've had some people that got famous off of TikTok. And
Yeah.
they're talking about like there's people that are TikTok dancers, which I can't do. So kudos to
Right.
but
Same.
the content is usually free, and our content is sometimes you have partner deals, but lots of the time it's your own time that you're editing,
That's
and it
right.
can take months and months for one post.
Yes, that's right. And there's always something to do. Like you're never finished. I mean, there's always a blog post to write, content to create, direct messages to respond to. There's always something to do. So I've had to really try to balance and manage my time because I could literally work 24 hours a day.
Oh yeah. So lastly, I want to end with advice you'd have for someone that wants to start out a new social media page, or they already have an existing social media page. I know sometimes it's hard when you're in the design community and you hire a really good photographer and you spend a lot of money on it, and then you post a picture and you get like a fraction of the interaction or the engagement rate that you thought would get off that post, it kind of deflates you. What advice would you give that person, and advice on how to grow and be authentic on Instagram?
Yeah. So, two things. First of all, you have to be consistent with your posting. So, whatever that looks like for you. So, I started out at 7 days a week. Like, no way I can maintain that. Right. So, I quickly saw, like, no way. So, I cut it down to 5. And so now I'm at 3 to 4, posts or reels a week, sometimes 5. It just depends, but you need to be consistent. I show up in stories every single day and I show my face and I'm bringing my audience along for, all of the messy behind the scenes. So my pictures and my reels on my feed are pretty polished and clean. But then, this morning I recorded a story and you could really see like how messy my island is. It has mail piled up because I've been gone for the weekend. So I really go deep with my audience behind the scenes and stories. And that leads to the second thing, and that's build relationships and be authentic. Like, let them see who you are in the real. I mean, they know I'm not going to show up with curly hair and a face full of makeup every day, because that's not me, because I am out on the job site and doing manual labor. And so most of the time I'm showing up like this. And then if I'm ever going somewhere and I'm actually all fixed up, they're like, you look so beautiful. They're pleasantly surprised. But you have to build relationships, respond to your direct messages, respond to comments on your post, and just earn that trust of your community.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. And I like how you said show your face, because that's something I struggled with for a long time. I didn't do it. And
Yeah,
talking to designers, they think it's all about the design, but it's also, you need to put personality to it, or it's just going to look like a pottery barn.
that's right. That's exactly right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I want to end in for you to say where they could follow you, and if can they see your show on Discovery Plus?
Yes, Discovery Plus, and I think it's pretty much across like all streaming platforms right now.
Okay, perfect. So, and where can they follow you on social media?
Yeah, so across all platforms: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest, Simply Southern Cottage, and then my blog is simplysouthern.cottage.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah, for joining me on the podcast today.
Thank you, Eric, for having me.